If there's one thing that I've learned about trading card games, it's that whatever everybody complains about is usually some of the strongest stuff in the game. Whenever there's a deck and everyone's like, oh my god, that deck's brain dead, that deck's ruining the meta, I can't believe you're playing that deck, that's so cringe. That's usually the good stuff. That's usually the strongest deck, the strongest card. Whatever's cringe, brain dead, that's usually the good stuff that you want to be playing. Well, in Champions TCG, people love to complain about the cosmic element. It's got some of the strongest cards in the game, especially the quantum shift keyword cards like Fuku and Moon. And so it only makes sense that an aggressive deck using the strongest cosmic cards would be really good. And it is. So let's take a look. This deck was built by FluxCorp member Bluecore. He showed me this deck early in the Gen 4 meta, and it is a great option for players who want to go aggressive and flood the board with strong creatures in the early game, go and face quickly, trying to win fast, as aggressive as possible. It's a great deck for that kind of play style. The key here is to take advantage of Aegis as well as Elemental Aegis, both of which enable you to protect your early game creatures from board-wide AoE removal. So using lots of Aegis and Elemental Aegis will defend you against Fungorth, Sangor, and later in the game stuff like Cyclonius. This is crucial because it will protect your tempo advantage. It'll enable you to get lethal damage in the mid game before the opponent is able to take control of the situation and start defending. You're also going to use your Vile Grub in the early game, trying to use Soul Reaper to ramp the stats and get really strong, and you're also going to use Timberfawn with the Shatter. By getting those ice cubes out, you can protect your Vile Grub as well as your cosmic creatures, which can help you get more Elemental Aegis stacks. So between Aegis, Elemental Aegis, as well as Soul Reaper and Timberfawn with the Shatter provoke ice cube thing, all of that gives you a lot of tools to work with in the early game to establish a strong opening and set yourself up for that win. Now let's look at some of the key cards in this deck. Fuchsia, this is the egg, and if you've been playing Champions TCG at all, then you know about eggs. They are 1 mana cards that can evolve into anything else of the same element. So we're running the Cosmic Egg Fuchsia because we're running lots of Cosmic cards, and we probably can evolve something on this egg. And if we do, we get to just spend 1 energy instead of spending the full cost of the card, and we get an extra draw, so evolving is just super strong. But if the egg breaks before that, we'll get a hatch creature, and if we get lucky in a high roll, that can be good too. So Fuchsia, just kind of obvious. Astraling, a very strong 2-drop, 4/5 stats plus Aegis, so the first hit doesn't damage it. It's just a really strong 2-drop. It's just good stats plus Aegis, all upside. You just need to run this. This gets run in a lot of decks, even if they aren't focused on Cosmic. So, of course, in a Cosmic deck, we're going to run it. And then we're going to run the big brother of Astraling, which is Galak. This is the Elemental Aegis version. And because it's Elemental Aegis, it has 1 stack of Aegis plus another stack of Aegis for every other Cosmic creature on the board when it's played. So you could potentially have Galak at 2 mana with 2, 3, even more Aegis stacks, and that's just crazy. That is so much protection on an early game creature that also has good stats. That's just crazy. We also have Astro. This is such a strong card. 3 attack, 8 health, and it's able to attack over and over thanks to Infinite Strike. This would be extra powerful if we combined it with Blizzard, which we're not really doing too much of that in this list. In fact, I just double checked. We're not even running any Blizzard in this list, but you can combine Astro with Blizzard in other lists. In this list, we're running it just for the general Cosmic synergy. It builds up Galak's Aegis. It can evolve on Fuchsia, and it's just a really powerful tempo play. Fuku and Moon, the Quantum Shift cards. Fuku from Gen 3, Moon from Gen 4. Quantum Shift lets you steal the opponent's lowest health creature. It's incredibly strong. And in an aggro context, we can use this in 2 ways. We either use it to establish board control and get that board advantage in the first few turns with a Tempo Fuku or a Tempo Moon, or we use it towards the end of the game when we're close to lethal to steal something and immediately hit them in the face to hopefully get us to lethal, getting us that last damage that we otherwise might not have. Quantum Shift, just one of the strongest keywords in the game, so strong. And then Bofa, Tinker Time, Time Warp, automatically evolving any other creature. It's just ridiculously strong, especially when Bofa has a good stat line himself at 5/7. Good stats for 3 mana plus more upside, and the upside of Time Warp is really massive. In our deck in particular, we could use this to evolve Vilemoth, turn it into a Demothra, get another Raised Dead. We can use it on Fungorth to evolve Fungorth into Sporagoo if we need to do another board clear. We could even evolve our Vilegrub into Vilemoth occasionally. Timberfawn can become Elk Antler. There's a variety of ways you can use this. And in a really weird situation, you might even use it on an opponent's creature. Maybe the opponent has a Vilegrub and it's ramping out of control, so you just evolve it into a Vilemoth when they have a crappy card on top of their graveyard. Stuff like that can be possible, so Bofa, super strong. Now that we've covered the basics of the deck, let's jump right into a featured match. I'm going to show you the deck in action, but before I do, real quick, please like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of the deck. Okay, here is the deck in action. Here's a featured match. Let's go! Up against Chase, all right, up against a fellow member of FluxCorp, and I got a pretty cool hand here. Galak in my opening hand, as well as Astro and Bofa, so that's pretty cool. We will not mulligan. I try to avoid mulliganing unless the hand is like really bad, like all late game stuff. So let's go ahead and say hi. I even got the Fuku. We could play Fuku on turn 1 just as an aggressive play, but we do have 2/2-drops, so I don't think we have to. Turn 1 Fuku is an option sometimes, but in this case, we can just play White Lily into Astro. Nice, strong opening. Oh, we don't have any audio right now. Let's fix that. All right, we should have some gameplay sound effects coming in a second here. Yeah, there we go. Is that too loud? No, that looks good. So Chase plays Timberfawn. Now, right away, I could steal the Timberfawn using Fuku. Or I could play Galak, who will have a double Aegis because of Elemental Aegis. This is also Cosmic. Astro could also attack Timberfawn twice to kill it, and then even kill one of the cubes. There's a lot of ways this could work. I think, honestly, Fuku is looking pretty good here. Just an early Fuku for tempo. This evolves into Galak Toro, so there's a good chance of playing Galak and then playing Bofa. It's funny, Bluecore just requested to observe my hand. He's the guy who built this deck. He doesn't even know that I'm recording this right now. Let's do it this way. So I'm going to steal Timberfawn, hit it once, the Fuku, and then hit it again with Astro. And since this has infinite strike, we can attack again. All right, I kind of made a simple turn really complicated there, but there's a lot to think about, and I do encourage you, even though people will get mad at you if you take too much time. Oh my god, you're letting your timer run. You know, don't be afraid to think in the early turns. He plays Vilegrub, and we need to make sure that we don't let this get buffed out of control. We can't let that start ramping. We do have the Bofa. We could play this turn, but I really want to save it for Galak. So I think playing Strawbash is a pretty simple option here. It's either Strawbash or Chubwing, and Strawbash just has better stats. We can play Strawbash, then we'll kill Vilegrub. And it doesn't matter who we target. Actually, no, we could target their Vilegrub and get Vilemoth, so it does matter. That's a good line. All right, so let's do this. Bop the Vilegrub. And then I could sacrifice my Timberfawn. I mean, I kind of want to keep Astro alive. Nah, it's okay. Let's kill Astro. That way we can keep Timberfawn alive. Now, if they use a board wipe, we'll get our ice cubes from the Shatter. Just really trying to think through the early game turns. I think not thinking about the early game is a big mistake sometimes. It's easy to get sloppy when you're playing a lot of games, you know, and you start rushing, but you don't want to do that. So Strawbash could trade into their Timberfawn. And then I could even play Vilemoth and bring Strawbash back after that, which would be a pretty good wide play. It sets us up next turn for the Bofa Galak combo, or just Gloom Toad. Otherwise, we could sacrifice our Timber Fawn, but that's not really accomplishing enough. So yeah, I think this is pretty good. Trade in the Strawbash, Vilemoth, bring him back. Now, it really doesn't matter what we target, so just target whatever. And then I can even trade in my own Timber Fawn, so I get my cubes as well. It's a pretty, slow and steady opening here, but we're building up the board advantage. We're being mindful of how much we can control the tempo of the match, not letting Chase get ahead of me on the board. Board control, board control, board control. As soon as we have a substantial board advantage, we can start hitting him in the face, and we can win really fast from there. So he trades in one cube. He attacks with Geode, kills the other cube. But, we're in a strong spot here. So much powerful stuff in my hand. Galax, Bofa, Gloomtoad, the Cyclonius for later. He hexes the Strawbash. We're not even running Berrycane, though. We have no evolutions, so that's not that big a deal. All right, so Bofa Galak is a big play. I could also just Gloomtoad after I do this. Would be another line. I really want to get that Galactoro out with the Bofa Galak combo. But the Gloomtoad play here is just so good. Like, this completely takes the board. We're ahead. We're not really vulnerable to anything. Quantum Shift wouldn't be a big deal. Their AoE clears won't be very effective here. It's a small board, but it's actually pretty resilient with both creatures having more than 5 health. It's pretty strong. Chase really needs to find some way to stop me. Blight Ooze is pretty good, though. Blight Ooze is pretty good for them. I wish I had Fuku now, or Moon, but I don't. So now we really want to get the Bofa Galak play. We want to get a strong board going, because we have a card advantage. We need to start hitting him in the face, and we want to end this pretty fast. I think here's where we're going to use Vroom in a defensive manner. So Vroom, sometimes we hit him in the face, but sometimes we use it defensively. I think this is an example of that. We attack Blight Ooze. We can then trade in with the Vilemoth. This allows me to do my Galak Bofa play, getting me the 9/9 Galactoro, and that's a strong board. Just waiting for Chase to not have an answer, basically. Waiting for Chase to not have an answer. Maintaining the board advantage, staying one step ahead every turn. Eventually, he's not going to be able to keep up, and then we start going face. It feels like we're almost there. We really do want to start hitting face before 9 energy, before he has a chance to play a Cyclonius or a Charlene or any stuff of that nature. And so now we can get a huge Aegis stack on the other Galak. If I play Astraling and then Galak, I'm going to have 3 Cosmics. He's going to have 4 Aegis stacks. He'll basically be invincible. So Astraling into Galak, that's a huge Elemental Aegis. Huge! And then it's either Chubwing or Timberfawn. We'll use all of our energy, I think. Get the extra draw by playing Chubwing. Don't need to target anything in particular. Other Vroom shows up, and then I could kill their Berrycane, although I'm kind of thinking I just go face with everything. I don't really want to defend anymore. I think now I'm ready to go aggressive, so I'm going to ignore the Berrycane, hit him in the face with everything. And we'll see. We'll see if he's able to defend from here. I've got that big board advantage I've been looking for all game, and now I'm ready to just try to hit face as much as possible. He does have Sangur for the AoE, but notice how the Aegis defends me. Just like I said at the start of the video, we use Aegis to defend against AoE board clears. That was a pretty damn good example, and Galak still has several Aegis charges left. We are 1 turn away from Cyclonius, definitely trying to stay as aggressive as possible. I do not want to trade into anything. I just want to go face. We got him down to 16, and I think, we could consider vrooming them in the face right now. Or we could hold that back. It's just a question of, like, am I overcommitting if I use Vroom and hit him in the face? But, I mean, I kind of just want to do it. I don't feel great about using Vroom here. I feel like we have such a strong board, we're just going to pass. We're going to hold on to Vroom just in case we need some more options. It's like I almost just want to use Vroom and use Combustion just right on their face, but... So they play Cyclonius after clearing out my first Timber Fawn. We still have 6 damage on the board here, taking them down to 10. If I'd used Vroom last turn, I would have had lethal here. So maybe it was a mistake not to. But now that we're here... well, depending how much Vroom does, we might have lethal now. Okay, so we're 1 off lethal. If I Fuku, we'd steal Cherry. And we'd be 1 off lethal. I am just going to pass, and we're going to win with Cyclonius. Just going to pass. We're going to win with Cyclonius. The last 2 turns here feel a little awkward. Maybe I could have played it a little differently. Not sure, but we should still end up with the win. They have 4 health. Cyclonius in my hand. The win is secured unless they heal themselves more than 4, and they have not healed themselves at all. They would need some kind of, you know, what's it called? Equality is the keyword, and I don't think they're running any of that. So now they have 14 damage on the board. They just used all their energy. They cannot kill me. And notice how resilient Galak has been. Like, this guy has just, until now, he's refused to die. They finally are able to kill Galak, but we win. So as you can see, the deck is very powerful. You do need to play a bit of a mid-range strategy sometimes by going back and forth in the early game. You can't just immediately go face, right? You have to really dominate the board, get control of things, then go face and kill them before they're able to stabilize on the board, which was exactly what happened there. So I think that was a fantastic example of how this deck tends to play. Shoutouts to Chase from FluxCorp. FluxCorp strong. And yeah, this is a great deck. Give it a try, y'all. I think you'll really enjoy this Cosmic Aggro deck. A little bit more of a whale deck, you know, got some strong stuff in there. The Galax, the Vilemoths, the Urgox, but we've done a few budget decks, so I felt like it was time to do something a little more big and bold. But yeah, let me know in the comments, what did y'all think? More deck features coming soon. Flux signing out.